But right now, I want you to listen to this voice from a promo on CBS.
What's the buzz on TV's #1 show?
You're good looking, very successful. Women settle for a lot less.
And thank God for that.
It's genuinely great.
We're just having breakfast.
Scrambled eggs and tongue. Nice.
And really funny. Long live 2.5 Men.
When it's right, it's right. And it is right?
Right.
A new episode Monday.
Now, the voice of that announcer is a guy named Joe Cipriano, who's the author of a new book called Living on the Air, Adventures in Broadcasting. He's one of the biggest voices in what they call the voiceover game, and he joins us now in studio, and this is like a homecoming of sorts for you.
Oh, my God. Well, first of all, thanks for having me
Yeah.
here. This is so cool. Yeah, I worked here at WMAL and WRQX from about 1978 to 81.
And were you sitting in that same chair?
This
that you
chair, yes. I recognize these stains, in fact.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, Washington, D.C., and being on the air here, the best. I mean, I met my wife here working over at 4001 Nebraska Avenue.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could say the name of that.
You can say that.
NBC over there.
right.
Yeah, that's where I first, when I came down here. And then I was so thankful to move over here to MAL and RQX.
Yeah. Now, you're in the voiceover game now. Tell me
I do that voiceover thing, Brian.
Now,
yes.
now, are you one of those guys that actually does this from your home, or do you actually go around to the studios?
Actually, I still love to go out to the studios, but more and more, they want you to do it from home. And so all of us have home studios. In fact, while I'm here, I'm doing it off of my laptop in my sister-in-law's extra bedroom.
Right.
I mean, it is so, the technology now is absolutely amazing. I even bring a little, they call it a MiFi device. It's a cellular device
Right.
that hooks up to the cellular network, and I can hook up live to the networks, to CBS and Fox, and do my sessions live.
Yeah. Now, your voiceover for who?
I do a lot of the comedies at CBS. I do the Queen Latifah show that's on the air now. I do that ins and outs of that and the promos for that.
Tell us about doing the voiceover for Chef Morimoto on it. That's the most interesting to me.
I love that. And
I recognize you as doing
really?
that voice. Yes.
He is a kick. For my first course.
Yes, I love it.
Whenever Chef Morimoto speaks on Iron Chef America. In Japanese. Actually, he's speaking in English. And he said to me, Ann and I were at one of his restaurants, and he said, a lot of people say, why are you interpreting what I say? Because I am speaking in English, but the truth is, he also does a show in Japan where he speaks in Japanese, and they interpret him there as well. So he's getting it on both sides.
Why is
he speaks
that?
in Japanese, they interpret his Japanese, and here in America. I think it's the style of the show, which is very campy and fun.
Yes.
We've done that for over 7 years, and we get really we just laugh when we do that show because we start doing things like he'll laugh, and so I'll interpret his laugh.
Yeah, you go ha ha ha. Yeah.
I mean, it's a kick.
Do you get to eat free at his restaurants too?
No, unfortunately, we don't eat free. We eat well, but we don't eat free.
Yeah.
He's not that close of a friend, I guess.
So this was where you got your big break, but you started when you were just like 14 years old.
14 years old up in Waterbury, Connecticut, and called my local DJ, and I happened to hit upon a real nice guy who was a mentor and allowed me to come in. And I ended up on the air at 16. Back then, doing Top 40, you would also have to do your news, while you're doing your show.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah. And it's 1970 during the Vietnam War, and I'm 16. I mean, I had no idea how to pronounce the battlefields and towns in Vietnam. And I'd have to read the news live. So I would do what anyone would do. As I came up to that word, I reached over to the rack, and I would flip the transmitter off the air. And it would go... I'd wait 10 seconds, I'd flip it back on, and then I'd say, and that's news, now let's look at weather.
No.
That's my news experience, right?
What is the wild... I mean, because everybody I know that's in radio, has been in radio for many years, has a story of something crazy, just unbelievably nuts that happened while they were on the air. What's yours?
Well, listen, I've had a lot of crazy stuff happen on the air. I mean, when I was working in Waterbury, our midday guy, at that time in the early 70s, his name was T.J. Martin, and he used to talk to the housewives. He had this great voice. But by the end of his shift, by 2 p.m., he was slurring his words and stepping on the vocals. We realized that in that coffee thermos he was bringing...
Something other than coffee.
It was something other than coffee. So they said, listen, you can't do that anymore. And so he said, okay, he went cold turkey. He started bringing in fruit, oranges and things like that. But he was still sloshed at the end of his shift. They realized in the morning he was injecting vodka into the oranges and things like that.
Oh,
yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah. But I got my big break in voiceover at Fox because I was on the air in Los Angeles as a disc jockey.
Really?
I was filling in for a guy by the name of Big Ron O'Brien on a station called Kiss FM, and it just so happened.
No small, that's like a powerhouse.
Yeah,
Kiss
it's big,
FM,
yeah.
KHR, KRQX here in Washington, just down the hall. Back when it was called Q107.
Q107.
Yeah. I love that. WKYS, you did that for a while, and then you started, as you said, in Waterbury, Connecticut.
Yeah. Radio, this book, Living on Air, is my love letter to radio. I grew up listening to it. I used to listen to radio stations late at night from Chicago and from Detroit booming in, and that was my crash course in rock and roll radio.
Do you do commercials, too? That's pretty lucrative, isn't it, for on-air
I
guys?
do, yeah. I do some commercials. You know, it's interesting in voiceovers, and especially in Los Angeles and New York, you kind of specialize in a genre.
Right.
And for me, I do a lot of promos. I'll do movie trailers, and I do a lot of live announcing for the Grammys and the Emmys. Ladies and gentlemen, live from the Staples Center in Los Angeles. You know, it's the 54th Annual Grammy Awards.
Any recent movies that we know that are out?
In a
World with Lake
Yes,
Bell.
yes.
I happen to appear
So
in
do you
as
say?
well.
Have you ever said that in a place where time has no meaning? Have you ever had to do
Yes.
a line like that?
That I've done, and also the line that comes up most in promos for TV networks is, "It's the television event of the year." How many of these can you do in a year? It's the television event of the year.
Or a very special episode.
Right, that's right. Tonight on a very special episode.
Now, you work. I notice you do what I do sometimes. You work the mic very, very close. Why is that?
Well, proximity to the mic.
Proximity effect, that's right.
it. Proximity. Ding, 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 ding.
That's the right answer.
Yes, and you know what? That's exactly what you do if you're working on something that's very intimate. You bring it in close, and you get your voice down, and you can almost whisper. And if
And the
you're doing
mic loves
something,
it, yeah.
and if you're doing something like Sunday on an all-new Simpsons, you back away from the microphone. Yeah.
Wow, it's really interesting sitting here listening to you.
All this stuff falling out of my mouth. Yeah.
Well, listen. The name of the book is called "Living on Air: Adventures in Broadcasting." It's a voice that you hear all the time. So happy to have you here, Joe.
Thanks
Thanks for dropping by.
Thanks so much, Brian.
Thanks.
Animation Domination presents
There it
a
is.
quadruple feature that'll make you laugh so hard you're gonna get abs of steel.
Abs of steel.
See bone-shattering action and dangerously hot romance.
No, Peter, that's not your catchphrase.
It all starts this Sunday.